right, how's everybody doing today? We're all set up here for episode 6 of the Setup Podcast. Today we're going to be running through some NBA free agency, looking at some where the bigger names might end up. After that, we're going to do the Immaculate Grid, which is going to be a reoccurring segment on our show.
Yes, very excited for that.
Yeah. Continuing on, obviously, with our divisional preview, we're going to look at the AFC East, and then we're going to round it out there at the end with an all-time fictional villains draft and something good, something bad.
Yep, I'm excited. I'm very excited for this one.
I think the first name I want to talk about today, news broke earlier today, James Harden opted into his player option with the 76ers, not to stay, however, to maybe set an all-time record for individual player trade requests.
It's absurd.
He's looking to get traded by the Sixers. I don't know. Can we name somebody who's requested to trade out of their situation more than James Harden has?
No, I looked at a stat earlier, and James Harden has 3 current requests to trade, the most out of any NBA player that is current nowadays. I think number 2 was
probably Kyrie.
I think Kyrie was number
Kyrie
2.
With,
yes.
Actually, no, he didn't get traded from the Celtics, from Cleveland and Brooklyn.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, when he claimed he was a Cavalier for life, and then
it sounds like Woj was saying the 2 front runners as trade options as of right now are the Knicks and the Clippers. If I had to choose one of those teams, if I'm the 76ers, I'm looking at the Knicks. I feel like they have a much more desirable package in place to land James Harden. I don't know what you think.
So I'm trying to think about what would be most desirable. I mean, I know Hart just re-signed that, or he picked up his option with the Knicks today as well. That also happened. I'm trying to think, what would you want? Quentin Grimes? I'm just tossing out names.
Let's just break down the young cores for a second, right? When we're looking at the Knicks, you have Obi Toppin, who wants out, it looks like, to begin with.
He would be a huge value piece.
Quentin Grimes.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Quickly.
Yeah. Oh, my.
That's 3 young pieces right there.
I mean, Hart, but you just have to take on his new...
You'd have to take on his deal. There would probably be like an Evan Fournier attached to it just to make the money work. And then you look at the Clippers.
Miles McBride, yeah. They have a ton.
Who do they really have as far as young prospects go? Terrence Mann.
Terrence Mann.
I mean, outside of that, though, there's nobody who holds as much. I wouldn't even say Terrence Mann is as good as the 3 players we mentioned from the Knicks. Maybe Obi Toppin, but I don't think he's on the level of Emmanuel Quickly or Quentin Grimes yet.
I mean, Norman Powell could get passed around too. Bones Highland, obviously, but
if you're the 76ers, let me ask you this: if you're the 76ers, are you looking for established win-now veteran players? Or are you looking for young pieces to build around?
I personally think there's a school of thought for both because you don't know how good and how healthy Embiid's going to be for this long.
I mean, I feel like you'd probably want a return with younger assets and maybe draft capital for James Harden. But at the same time, Daryl Morey's never been the type of guy to try and build for the future. As long as he's been a GM, it's been win now, let's make a push, let's trade for whoever we can. We saw it when they traded for CP3. A year later, they traded for Russ. In Philadelphia, they obviously traded for Harden, who now wants out after a season and a half. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what the Sixers' thought process is on getting this deal done, and even if they'll let the deal get done, because they obviously, we saw it with Kyrie, they don't have to trade him.
I also think the Clippers package would look fairly different too, because Russ hasn't re-signed with them yet, right?
No.
So
Russ is a free agent.
You're still figuring out that situation. You'd potentially have to pick one of these 2 guys if you want to take and re-sign Russ. You have to take one of them to come off of the bench realistically because...
You think so?
I mean, if Paul George, God willingly, is healthy for a whole season, you're not going to bench Paul George for Harden or for Russ.
I feel like you could run out a lineup of Russ, Harden, PG, Kawhi, and Zubac.
Russ, Harden, PG, Kawhi. Yeah. You know, thinking about that now, because
for me,
things are small. Yeah, I can see
it's
that.
more so making the money work with all 4 of those guys, not finding enough space for the ball to go around. Because I think those 4 can play together. It just depends on what type of contract Russ is going to come in, what his market's going to look like.
I mean, they are in need of big men, though. I know they made that Plumlee deal at the deadline. Their whole forward situation is just a mess. You're going to be bouncing between Batum, Marcus Morris Sr., of course, and then Rocco. It's just I would hope that if you're the Clippers, you'd want to get a big man out of that. I don't know necessarily what that would be, but
it's going to be interesting to see how that package plays out. But transitioning from one frequently disgruntled star to another that we probably won't be able to accurately predict, Kyrie Irving today. Kyrie Irving today, Chris Haynes reported, and it came out that he plans to meet with the Phoenix Suns starting tomorrow. Well, I guess free agency starts tonight at midnight. I can't tell if this is Kyrie just saying, screw you, I'm going to just go and make an overpowered team again and try and win, or if he's not necessarily doing that or just using it as leverage to command more money from the Mavs or another team that might want to sign him.
I don't even know what's going on with Kyrie. Maybe they sell the most sage in Phoenix for him to be able to get whatever it may be. I don't even know if he's chasing rings. I don't even know what he's chasing, to be honest. I think,
to be honest, I'm not really sure what capability we might have to talk at length about where he'll end up going.
Because there's a million possibilities. He could be in China for all we know.
You really just don't know.
Because it's just how he is.
I think when it comes to Kyrie, it's just like we've had this conversation too many times about where he's going to end up, who he wants to play for, whether or not he actually wants to play basketball. It's just kind of worn out at this point, and it's not. It's maybe not even the most interesting thing to talk about.
But
you know what I mean?
But at the same time, I always am going to respect how he is and how he's carried himself too, because I mean, there's not many players that are like him, and he just made a mark on basketball for this subset of years in the NBA in this past decade or so. So he's definitely going to be a guy that we remember too. Obviously, always hoping for the best for him, but God, man, he's just so unpredictable when it comes to what he's going to be doing.
Yeah,
we really don't know.
And the other thing is, this year, there's really not a lot of money to go around.
Yeah.
So you could end up seeing a lot of like solid role players, don't get me wrong, guys who are very valuable to like a winning team, making more money than maybe they would have commanded in a market where teams have more cap to spend and more money to go around. Like you might just end up seeing, like you mentioned earlier before the show, a lot of these guys who are restricted or maybe we thought might end up going to like a rebuilding team for more money, they may just end up coming back to the team that they're on in the first place. Chris Middleton, we mentioned, Brook Lopez, Fred VanVleet, Draymond.
It's just the way the money is working out this offseason, it's seeming like it's just a safer play.
It's super scarce for sure.
Yeah, it's safer to just return to where you are. I honestly think Kyrie he's going to be offered not much money to go to Phoenix. If he is, going to go there, but he's going to get offered the bag from Dallas.
It'd be a considerable pay cut if he ended up in Phoenix.
So, I mean...
But, like we said,
you never
really know what's going to happen.
Is money in his priorities? We don't know. We don't know. So, he's definitely a question mark. Another name that I was seeing, I know we obviously talked about the Bucks bros, Rob Will with the Celtics. I was seeing a lot of rumors about a sign-and-trade possibility with them because he didn't play for them really in the playoffs. He started off that year with injury. Yes, he's an elite defender. Are you going to be willing to pay a lot of money for a center that you're not trusting in the playoffs when you have two superstars that you have to offer max deals?
I have a hot take that I've had up in my
you're a big Rob
for a
Will
little
guy.
while.
Yeah.
If Rob Will doesn't get injured, not this past season, but the season prior, I fully think he would have won Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah. It seemed like that year they gave it to Marcus Smart just because they were trying to give it to the best defender on the NBA's best defense. And for a while, if you looked at betting odds, Rob Will was favored to win before he got injured. I think he's really underrated. Like you said, the question mark with him is just, can he stay healthy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can he play for 60 games even out of a season?
Yeah.
I think a lot of teams would be happy to have him. I mean, I'm looking at the Mavs. I think the Mavs could really benefit with some defensive presence and just some energy in their 4 or 5 spot, especially now that they've let go of Davis Bertans. It's basically going to be like a a three-man race for that starting center position with Derek Lively, Rashawn Holmes, Dwight Powell.
That's a really good point, though, that you just brought up, though, because having, Lively come in and come off the bench at first and sit behind, who he would literally be playing the exact same play style of a already proved at center, a lockdown rebounding machine.
Yeah, and guess what?
Shot blocking machine.
Guess what?
That's what his position's going to be.
Rob Will plays 40 games, gets hurt. Derek Lively's ready to go.
And it'd be great having those two together. Just stick Lively with Rob Will all the time, Just have him learn how the position is played, in the NBA, because Rob Will plays it very well. So
I don't hate that idea.
I
don't hate the idea of sign and trade at all.
Yeah.
Especially just because you've traded for Porzingis. You've got Horford.
Yeah.
Tatum was playing more of the 4 last year than the 3 at times. It seems like there's maybe not a role for him this year.
And that's what I'm saying. I think it would benefit both parties. Rob will get a good opportunity somewhere else, and the Celtics would avoid some money. So It was saying $65 million sign and trade.
I'm going to throw a few names at you.
Okay.
You tell me, give me 1 or 2 places either you'd like to see them or you think they could end up.
Okay.
Kyle Kuzma.
Sacramento Kings. 4 years, $100 million.
My thing with that is I don't know if he's going to be able to sign with them now that they just extended Harrison Barnes for 3 years, $54 million.
Oh,
it seems like they've
kind
of made like
that happened as we were about to click record on this episode.
Next guy, Jeremy Grant.
I think he stays in Portland.
You think
I
so?
think he stays in Portland. Give him a 1+1.
Karis LeVert.
Cleveland.
Back in Cleveland.
He was very adamant about wanting to be back in Cleveland, which is fine.
Yeah, here's another guy who was a pretty proven shooter for a while, but he didn't really play for the Lakers at all down the stretch. I mean, in that back half of the season after the trade, he could never really get it going for them. In the playoffs, they didn't really trust him. They put guys like Lonnie Walker and Troy Brown in over him. Malik Beasley.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him being a Sun on a low to like mid-level deal, and I think he could be really good for them next year.
That's true. I could also see him on I think there's 2 ends of the spectrum where I could think Malik Beasley could go. I think he could definitely go to like a Suns or a Bucks, really cheap deal. Or if he wants a little bit more money, going to like a Charlotte or a Houston and getting enough playing time and trying to find his way back, because he kind of rode the bench for the Lakers after that trade. So.
He was down to he was like the 12th or 13th man there.
I can't see him going to like a middle of the road team. I think it's going to be either a really good or a really bad team.
All right. 2 more I got for you.
Yeah.
First, I'm going to hit you with Kelly Oubre Jr.
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna go with the surprise one. I'm just gonna go the Orlando Magic.
I don't hate that.
I
need some veterans.
Yeah,
they need
exactly.
some veterans for sure.
Can provide you prove it scoring.
Lastly here, the man in all of his infamy, Dylan Brooks.
Ugh.
The betting odds are saying he's favored to go to the Rockets right now.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know who wants to lay a finger on him.
Well, he was asking for like $13 million. He was asking for like $13 million, which is absolutely absurd.
Yeah, but that's all we got for you on NBA free agency today. We're gonna transition here into a new segment that should be reoccurring. It's called the Immaculate Grid. Basically, how it works here is you have 3 rows, 3 columns, MLB related. And you've got to match up each row to each column and fill it in. All right, looking here at the top, we're going to look at the columns first. We got the Washington Walgreens, the Florida Marlins, or the Miami Marlins, sorry. And then 20-plus win pitching season. And then looking at the rows here, it's going to be the Angels, the Cubs, and the Mets. Off rip, the first one I see here, Mets, Nationals, Max Scherzer.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good one too. I was thinking you can go Dom Smith too, who's also on there.
We'll do Dom Smith just
because he's starting for them now too.
We're gonna do another way it works is it tells you
it's Dominic,
the percentage of people that had a similar guess. So sometimes it's fun just to do the more rare guesses. So like you guys see here, it's only if you're watching on YouTube, only 9% of people selected Dominic Smith.
Schwarbaum for Washington Cubs.
Ooh. You know, I was going to say after that, Rendon. Angels.
That's such an easy one. Yeah, that's good. That's real good. SCH Warber. There you go.
Sorry for my typing here, guys.
It's okay. Rendon. Cubs 21 seasons easy. Mad Dog. Maddox.
That's
Greg Maddox.
I was going to say Jake Arrieta.
Oh, actually, wait.
Should we rip Arrieta?
Let's rip Arrieta. That one's probably less.
Hey!
Okay.
Mets, Marlins, Sterling Marte.
Yes. Sterling Marte is a good one. That Angels Marlins one's going to be impossible. I'm not going to get that one.
Let's look at the 20-win seasons for now.
Okay. Mr. Met outside. They have a what's it called? They have a statue of him outside the stadium, Citi Field. Tom Seaver.
Tom Seaver.
Tom Seaver. Yeah. Mr. Met. I think.
Okay.
All right.
I was going to say their ace in like the late 2000s, early 2010s. Do you think Jared Weaver has a 21 season?
Jared Weaver. See, I was trying to think about who would, like Ohtani. I think he had like 15 or 16.
I don't think Ohtani has it because I feel like they don't pitch him as often because he's playing or he's batting half the time.
Jared Weaver. Think he's got it.
Jared Weaver's like the only guy I can even think of. They haven't had good starters in so long.
I know that. Weaver was definitely one of their good starters for a long time. I'm really
like I don't know. I know Nolan Ryan pitched for the Angels at one point, but I don't know if that was like during the beginning of his career where he wasn't as good.
Well, no, it's just if they were on that team.
Oh.
Yeah, like it's
so they don't have to get it on. They don't have to get the 21 season on the Angels.
I think they just have to be a 20 wins player that has been on the Angels at one point.
Well,
I think.
Do you want to risk us not being able to do Nolan Ryan because he didn't get it on the Angels, or do you want to risk Jared Weaver? I kind of want to do Jared Weaver.
Okay. All right, let's rip Jared Weaver. I'm down for that. Oh! Okay.
All right, 7 for 7 so far. You only get 9 guesses, 1 for each square. I mean, Angels, Marlins gonna be so hard.
Right now, Solerbaum.
Who did he play for?
Jorge Soler, the Cubs and the Marlins.
Oh, I didn't know he played.
Yeah,
for
he was
Cubs.
a Cub. He was number like 68 or something. Yeah, he came up.
This last one's gonna.
We might as well give up. I don't know. I have
Let's
no
just
idea.
think about it for like 2 seconds.
Because
who's on the Marlins right now, right?
Okay.
So Luis Arias, did Alcantara ever?
No,
Soler.
I don't think he's been.
Boy.
Because
here's the problem with the Angels nowadays, is they don't get anybody else because they're paying Trout and Ohtani so fucking much that they can't afford to sign anybody else.
They do. Okay, I'm trying to think. Neto or no. Marlins players. Sandy, no. Jesus Luzardo. Where did he come from?
I don't know where Jesus.
We should allow one spot search per grid.
No, I don't know about that. That seems like a bailout.
Who's
a guy who's just played for a million teams? Bartolo Colon's played for a million.
I wouldn't be opposed to ripping a John Birdie.
Birdie,
the guy who had the stealing. He was a stealing. Wait, just click the square, and just look up BERTI. Don't click next. I want to see how long he's been in the league. TI. Okay, he's only 28. Yeah. So never mind. No, that's not too much.
Dude, I know
Joey Wendell. Has Joey Wendell been on the Angels?
Oh, I don't know.
Look up Wendell. Just see how many years. He's also 20. God.
Here's my thing. I know Bartolo Colon played for the Angels. and he's played for a million other teams, so I feel like there's a chance he played for the Marlins.
Bartolo was good on the Angels too.
We maybe could have done.
We
that
could have
for the
probably done
21
Bartolo
season.
as well. I don't think he had 20. I don't know if he had 20 wins
Yeah,
yet.
I have no idea. Should we just rip Bartolo
On here?
Yeah.
Sure. Go ahead. I have no other guesses.
I mean, he played for 21 seasons. No!
Not immaculate.
That's tough.
Not immaculate on this.
That's
one,
all right.
but-
We'll come back better. We'll come back better next week. So.
Yep.
That's
for sure.
Yeah. So 8 out of 9 for you guys who can't see on our YouTube page. I don't know if we could have done much better there.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're listening on whatever, just look up the setup on YouTube and you can see. We'll put some timestamps on there for you to click for the grid too. But yeah, if you guys want to give the grid a try, it's a lot of fun. So definitely a new. Oh, there's Schwarber right now. There's definitely a new process coming in for it now. So all right. Yeah.
Transitioning here, we're continuing on with our NFL divisional preview. Today we're going to be looking at the AFC East, the likes of obviously the Buffalo Bills, New York Jets, New England Patriots, and Miami Dolphins. Is there a specific team you want to start with?
Let's go with who you think's worst to best.
Oh, who I think's worst.
Worst to best, yeah.
I'm going with the Patriots.
Patriots, yeah.
What's weird though is I think they're going to be the worst in this division, but they could still end up going like 8-9. 7-10. I don't think they're going to be a bad team by any means.
I'm trying to see. I know that's Mac Jones. Is it Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi for who they're?
Correct.
Okay, I mean they got Gesicki.
They're
they got
the same
Gesicki and
team as they
Juju.
were last year.
They got Gesicki and Juju.
Yeah.
They lost Jacoby Myers, Nelson Aguilar. They don't have Damian Harris anymore. He signed with, I believe, in the NFC Beast. Oh no, yeah. He signed in the NFC Beast.
Is he commander?
Let me double check because I wrote it down for who.
I don't
who he
know.
was.
It's the Patriots should kind of feel like the same team as they were last year, man. Like obviously Bill Belichick's gonna be a great coach. I just think Mac Jones limits you a lot offensively with the type of plays you want to call your downfield passing. Obviously, Ramondre's going to be great. They're going to run the ball. They're going to pass their tight ends. You're going to see a lot of 21 personnel. It's going to be interesting. I don't know that they can come out of this season and have won more divisional games than they've lost, and that's why I feel they're just going to end up as the worst team in this division. Because obviously the Bills they've been the best team in this division for the last couple of years. The Jets just traded for a guy who's a year removed from back-to-back MVPs, and when Tua is playing football for the Dolphins, they're a completely different team.
Yeah, and what else is interesting and kind of off-brand for the Patriots is their top 3 wide receivers are all over 6'2".
That is
which is very interesting for wide
Are
receivers.
any of them white?
No, they're not.
Look at that. The Patriots.
Not that matters, but
well, it's a trend for the Patriots. They love their former college QBs turned slot receivers.
yeah.
But yeah, I just don't. Maybe you can talk about it a little bit more, but there's a difference between having the guy for your team and having a guy for your team. And I think the Patriots are kind of lying to themselves, and that Mac Jones is the guy.
He's not.
I don't know. He doesn't even feel like to me that he's on the level of like some of the better game managers like Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Derek Carr. I don't see him elevating this team beyond where they're at right now. Like when you're a mediocre team with a mediocre roster, obviously this defense is, I wouldn't call it elite, but it's one of the better defenses in the league. That's going to win you some games.
I was going to say.
Having the greatest coach of all time is going to win you some games. But when your QB play does more holding you back than actually elevating you and setting you up for success, it's hard to win in a tough division, and it's hard to even win playoff games, let alone make it to the playoffs. So they're my last place team, and I don't really feel like I have much more to say about it. The other 3 teams in this division just are better and have been better the last couple of years.
Agreed. I think their defense will win them some games this year. You covered it all.
It's the defensive Bill is going to win them games.
Yeah.
Mac Jones isn't going to win you games, and that's why we're moving on to the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. Yep.
maybe you can elaborate, you can talk about it a little bit more, but this team I feel like is either going to go 7-10 or they're going to be like 12-5 and maybe have a chance at winning this division. When Tua is on the field, they're so much better, and I know people love to hate on Tua, probably just because he's a lefty and people don't like the way it looks when he throws. But you add Jalen Ramsey, who's still one of the best corners in the game. Mike McDaniel knows how to run the ball. It doesn't matter who's running, he can scheme it up. And they have arguably 2 top 10 receivers in the NFL, and one that might be the best receiver in the NFL. There's speed all around the field. There's questions, obviously, about their run defense. Obviously, Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, those 2 guys are getting a little bit older. But I like their roster a lot more than I do the Patriots. And I don't see them finishing dead last as long as Tua is playing 12 to 13 games this season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what a Durham Smythe is, but he's now their starting tight end. Cedric Wilson's now their third receiver. I mean, realistically, you just need Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and then you can have some other guys. Their backfield committee is going to be great with Wilson and Mostert both re-signing, both of the guys they got in the Niners deal. I think their offense is just going to be explosive. If Tua's healthy, they signed Mike White for being a backup. Now I know they're going to let Teddy Bridgewater go. Having Mike White, who's been a proven win a backup game.
Yeah, he's the type of guy when you have a QB who maybe can't stay healthy for the whole year, you trust him to make 1 or 2 spot starts and at least keep you in that game and give you a fighting chance to win. Another guy who I don't really like to contribute, but I think he's going to look immaculate in some teal Dolphins uniforms. Another Jet, they signed Braxton Berrios. I just feel like he's going to look right in a Dolphins uniform.
Kick returner probably too. Yeah.
Right. And I take that back, what I said earlier. They actually released Byron Jones, which makes sense, obviously, with the trade for Jalen Ramsey. But
I
don't know. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
They also have they have not re-signed Melvin Ingram yet either. He was really big for them last year. That is someone who I would really want if I was a Miami Dolphins fan to just be locked up, maybe trying to avoid training camp, whatever it may be. Get him back on the roster, which would be very good.
Listen, all I'm going to say about this team, another guy I forgot, Bradley Chubb. He was hurt down the stretch for them last year. He's an elite pass rusher when he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
If this team clicks and they have the right pieces healthy going into the playoffs or going down the stretch, there's no reason this team can't compete with anybody in the AFC, I feel like. They absolutely have the weapons to do it.
And this is going to move us into our next topic, but I had this team coming in second in this division, and I had your New York Jets coming into the third place.
Yeah, I think that's where we maybe get a little mixed up with the divisional winners there. Here's my thing about the Jets. Yes, they finished last place in their division last year. They were, 7-10, 8-9?
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers is still that guy. I said it earlier. He's a year removed from back-to-back MVPs. And after their Giants game in London last year where he hurt his thumb, he was playing with multiple injuries, and he almost got the Packers to the playoffs last year with an aging O-line, virtually no receiving threats. I might be crazy for saying this, but Aaron Rodgers is going to come into his 2023 campaign, and he might have a season reminiscent of 2021 or 2022.
Wow.
I mean, what has ever stopped this guy when he's been hurt, when he's had a bad year? He's always come back better. They have an elite defense. They have the best young receiver in the NFL in Garrett Wilson, who won Rookie of the Year. And guess what? If Breece Hall doesn't get hurt, he might have been the offensive Rookie of the Year. Sauce Gardner was the best cornerback in football last year. We'll see if Mekhi Becton can get on Weight Watchers and actually play to protect him. But their O-line was better last year. I love this division because, weirdly enough, all 3 of these teams at the top, I feel like can compete for in the AFC, and if things click for them, they can win a Super Bowl. I love the Jets going into this year. I think they're an 11 to 12 win team, and I can see them beating out the Bills to win this division.
So they have a very stacked wide receiver room, I will say that. With Randall Cobb being their fifth receiver, Denzel Mims being the sixth receiver.
Aaron Rodgers has never had this many weapons.
With insane running backs, he's got it all. The defense is unreal, too.
What Aaron Rodgers is going to experience this year is like when you're a little kid and your mom will never let you play like Call of Duty or like you don't have some toy that you want, and then you go over to your buddy's house and it's like, yeah, we got Call of Duty here. We got toys to play with. We got stuff we can do. He's never even experienced this. It's going to be like, I can't say much more about the Jets. They might have the best defense in the NFL, and when he's clicking, Aaron Rodgers might be the second best QB in the NFL.
The only thing for me, personally, about this is I fell for the smokescreen last year of the 2022 Denver Broncos coming in. I was not a believer. Same thing, same ordeal. Amazing veteran quarterback coming in. I know obviously Russ was not to the level that Rodgers was. I would say arguably Russ came in with a better defense.
Oh, I disagree.
Well, I mean, they had, but we didn't know what sauce was. We didn't know. Well, obviously, now we do. We do. But I'm saying, if you look at the defense that they have now, they had, of course, Pat Surtain, they had Justin Simmons, Draymond Jones, Shelby Harris, but they traded him. And then also he had insane weapons as well. Javonte Williams, coming into his second year, was supposed to make a big jump. What happened to him? He got hurt out for the year.
He wasn't as good as Breece Hall was last year.
What happened? Okay, number one wide receiver Garrett Wilson was a rookie, just like Jerry Jeudy was the year before. Coming in, what happened to him? Didn't produce. Another wide receiver 2, Cortland Sutton, who was supposed to be another insane weapon. My point is, on paper, the Jets are going to be amazing. And I could very well see them being at the minimum 9-10 win team. But I just think that we've seen a situation like this happen before. So don't be fooled if it is fool's gold and something were to go wrong.
I definitely get where you're coming from here. My only thing is looking at each position group based on last year's Broncos and this year's Jets. I feel like they nearly went across the board. I'm taking Rodgers over Russell Wilson. I'm taking Garrett Wilson over Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. Garrett Wilson's rookie campaign was better than any Jerry Jeudy season ever. I'm taking Breece Hall over Javonte Williams. I'm taking Quinnen Williams, John Franklin Myers, Jermaine Johnson, Solomon Thomas, and Carl Lawson over that entire D-line for that Broncos team. And I'm taking. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep going because I feel like I have to. I'm taking Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed over whoever's playing corner for that Broncos team.
Yeah.
The only position group I really maybe see them winning is linebacker and safety. I like the O-line. They failed to protect Russ last year in Denver. I get that it's easy to make the comparison, and maybe you're right. Maybe 6 months from now we'll be sitting here talking, and you'll look like Nostradamus. I have no idea. But I feel like this Jets team is so much more complete than that Broncos team ever was. And the other thing is, you have a more competent head coach than Nathaniel Hackett was for them last year.
And all those points you made make sense, and I think I could definitely see both possibilities too. The roster's unreal. The roster's absolutely unreal. So all I was saying was people were drafting all those Broncos players really high in their drafts. They were the talk of the town. So I'm just saying, just be careful with how much you're buying on teams, especially like this. But after seeing what happened last year, but
I this is points for sure.
But this is a whole different team than that Broncos team. So we'll see, for sure.
Transitioning year to I think our obviously we have upside for the Dolphins and the Jets. We think there's a chance to win the division for both of those teams. But I think if you asked us to put our money on it, I mean, we'd both take the Bills.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's going to be a cakewalk for the Bills, man. Like
no.
This is a prove-it year for them for sure.
Yeah. This could be a blow-up year for them.
You were the Super Bowl preseason favorites last year, coming into the season. You've now lost to the Chiefs and the Bengals, their previous 2 playoff runs. And quite frankly, I mean, it didn't even look like you could compete in that Bengals game in the playoffs. And I hate to say it because I know it's a tragic situation, but if you saw the way the Bengals came out on that Monday night game where Damar Hamlin was critically injured, like, the Bengals came out way harder than them, and they looked like they were setting up to win that game. I mean, they scored, and they were halfway down the field on their ensuing drive after the Bills went for it.
I think it was 10-7 with, like, 3 minutes left in the first quarter. I think we were, like, primed.
I think it was 10-0. I don't even think the Bills scored. That's what I'm saying.
Like, but the Bills had the Bills were having really because I remember Diggs had like 3 catches for like 50 yards already or something like that. I just think we were primed for like 35-21,
sure.
But obviously you can't even.
The biggest thing I like as far as an upgrade for the Bills this year, I think you got the best tight end in the draft in Dalton Kincaid. Obviously his blocking has some room to grow, but we really haven't seen a route runner like this, maybe other than who's supposed to be an amazing tight end, Kyle Pitts, in a little while. And I mean, it's just like, how many times are we going to go into the season with them and say they're an elite team, they can compete with the best teams in the AFC, they can go out and win a Super Bowl, and then they're just going to disappoint us? It kind of is starting to seem like it's happened time and time again. So, like I said, we're going to roll with them, but it's really time for Mike McDermott and Josh Allen and that defense spearheaded by like Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde to just go out there and prove it, because they haven't won big games when it counts.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that this year, I'm not sure they're going to be favorites to win this division or even be like taken seriously as a contender in the AFC moving forward.
For sure. And I'm really happy though the Bills did end up re-signing Jordan Poyer. I know that was a big thing that was going to be talked about. And my apologies when we were talking about the Patriots. Damian Harris is now a Bill. He's their backup running back, so he's moving to another team in the division. Not that he's a starter, but he'll get runs.
Speaking of the running back situation, one of the biggest issues with this team, I feel like in the last couple of years, is they've gone out there and maybe they get a 2-touchdown, 17, 10-point lead. I feel like their inability to run the ball, kind of much like the Chargers, who we talked about a couple episodes. When you have those leads and you can't establish a run game because your O-line isn't great at run blocking, you don't have a running back you can trust, it makes it difficult to close out, especially against teams that are capable of beating you, to be totally honest. So they need to see some production out of James Cook. I really like the Connor McGovern signing for them this year. I think that fills a need for sure. But their inability to establish the run game, and then you just have Josh Allen scrambling for his life and throwing 55 passes in a game, it was an issue last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know we love seeing Josh Allen hurdle someone or make a 50-yard throw downfield, but it backfires. And I know that's Josh Allen's biggest knock, but I almost think it's like a schematic issue for them where they kind of fail to establish a run game, and it ends up putting him in a lot of positions where he needs to make a big play or he needs to convert a third down because whoever they're playing is going to come back down and score.
I think it's very easy to figure out what the Bills are trying to do. They're trying to establish a run. You take away the run for the first 5 minutes of the game. You then force them to pass the rest of the game. Josh will throw for 350 with 4 touchdowns and then throw 2 picks, and they'll end up winning by a touchdown or 10 points. I mean, it's been their MO. I know, obviously, Von Miller went down earlier on in the season. He was big for them as well.
Micah Hyde
was also injured, too. Tre'Davious White also dealt with some injuries. They got Taylor Rapp from the Rams, which is going to be a good signing, I think, for them, too. PFF had him as a top 20 safety still, too. I think him mixed with Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. Obviously, we'll see what happens with Damar Hamlin, but I definitely think the cards are there, and I think this is going to be one of those where it's going to be like, surprise me, Bills. I'm going to go with you as my pick to win the division, but I could see.
I'm not super confident.
Exactly. You know I mean, like, shock me because you got Aaron Rodgers now in the division. It's
one of the last things I want to say before we transition to our next topic is the other reason why I feel like there needs to be some urgency and you kind of got to play with the prove-it mentality is this team is pretty old, man. Especially when you look at their defensive pieces. I mean, Stephon Diggs isn't getting any younger. Obviously, you draft Dalton Kincaid to be the tight end of your future. But there's some guys on this team who really, like, I'm not sure if they have 3 more years of good football to help push them into contention.
Yeah.
So there's got to be urgency. you got to play with a chip because it's put up or shut up now for the Bills. But like we said, we're still taking them to win the division.
We're still taking them to win the division because, it runs a lot of risks going without. But,
Yeah.
I mean, Bills Mafia will be going crazy for them, but, so.
Moving on here to our second last topic before we wrap up the show, something good, something bad. We're going to be doing an all-time fictional villains draft. So it's going to be TV, movies. I guess we could do books, but let's be honest, we're not reading any books on the Setup podcast.
Yep.
I think who started off last time?
I went first last time, so you go first.
I go first this time. With my 1-1, I'm going to be taking the Joker.
Which one?
Oh, are we doing specific iterations?
Well, Heath Ledger probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's Heath Ledger. Although I will say
good.
Mark Hamill's Joker
In the Joker movie,
extremely underrated.
Really,
not
really
the Joker
good.
movie. He does the voice acting for all the animated Batman stuff.
Oh, okay. I've never checked those out. I thought you were talking about
Luke Skywalker, also the Joker.
Yes, that's right. I didn't. Yeah, I thought you were talking about the Joker movie in and of itself. That was an interesting movie. Did you see that one?
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix was a good movie.
Yes, Joaquin Phoenix. That's right. Okay, with my first pick, I'm going to be going with Sir Darth Vader.
That's a good pick.
That's kind of an easy pick.
No, I mean, if I'm being honest, that should have probably been the first overall pick, but I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, so I didn't want to lie to myself and take
I forget about that. I forget that you're not a big Star Wars guy.
Yeah. My next pick here is going to be Thanos. MCU, just whatever movie you want, pick it. I think he was probably best in Infinity War, but it's got to be Thanos. Okay. I mean, I feel like we've never seen a decades-long build-up of a villain like the caliber of Thanos throughout an entire movie catalog. You know what I mean?
I just remember with Infinity War and Endgame when I was seeing that movie at night, thinking about Thanos, and I'll put the clip in here of him saying "dread it, run from it." That whole preview, even though it wasn't even the movie.
Plenty of TikTok edits have been made of that.
It was so good, but I'm gonna go. Okay, so for my second pick, I'm gonna go with recent new villain for me because I just watched this series. I'm going Lord Voldemort. So I had
it on my list.
I was not a big Harry Potter guy. I didn't have the attention span to read the books, but I think he is a fantastic villain. I think the whole character arc of him as well was just incredible throughout the movie.
I like it.
I'm gonna go with Voldemort.
Yeah, with my third pick here, I think this show is it's transcended television. You've heard Metro Boomin sample him. I mean, he might be the best TV villain in the last decade. Homelander.
Yeah,
for anybody who's
Homelander
watched The
insane.
Boys, Anthony Starr's portrayal of him as a character deserves numerous Emmys. I mean, I don't know if there's ever been a more believable comic book style villain than Homelander.
Yeah.
Obviously, maybe within TV, the Joker, Thanos, the movies are maybe a little bit more grandiose. They're bigger pictures, but as far as TV comic book goes, Homelander is the best villain I've ever seen.
And I saw something today that they were waiting for. Apparently, there's a writer's strike, and they are not releasing season 4 of The Boys until the writer's strike is quote over because the writers aren't getting paid what they want, whatever it may be. So
it's a serious.
If they could figure that out, huge fan of The Boys on the Setup podcast. So we'd like for that to come out. Okay, so going with my third pick, and this is a little bit of a hint at it last episode when we did our movies/superheroes draft. I talked a little bit about him. I'm going Doc Ock, Dr. Octavius from Spider-Man.
That's not the Spider-Man villain I would have taken.
So I also have another Spider-Man villain that's further down. Actually, I have 2 more Spider-Man villains that are well into my
2
list.
More?
Yes.
Wow.
But Doc Ock is just crazy. I really liked that bridge scene too with the newest Spider-Man movie that came out. If I'm sure you've seen it, but if not, pause just before I say this. But wait,
no. If it's been a year, spoilers don't count.
You
could say what happens.
No. But there's the whole bridge scene where Doc Ock is fighting. It's the same Doc Ock too, where they CGI to make it look younger. But
Alfred Molina gained 15 years in a day.
but But it's a whole scene about him fighting. He rips his mask off. Doc Ock just looks at him. He's like, "Who are you?" And then Peter's like, "Who are you?" Then he controls his arms and he's choking. It's a great scene. It's a great scene.
Sure.
But I'm gonna go with Doc Ock.
I like that pick a lot. Not who I would have taken as far as
Yeah.
Spider-Man goes, but I like
Yeah.
the pick a lot. My next pick is going to be more of a homer pick, just because I love this movie. Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore.
See, not a basic villain, more of an antagonist, but I like it.
I think it's. I don't think it's a bad pick. I think Shooter played his role.
Shooter, shoot.
Yeah, there's not much more to say about Shooter McGavin.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he made my list only because, like, remember watching that movie first time? You're like, this guy sucks. Like,
yes.
He just sucks. He's one of the most hateable people I've ever seen portrayed in film. Shooter McGavin sucks, and there's not much more to say about it.
Yeah. No, that's true. Okay, so going on to my fourth pick now, I'm going to go with Gollum from the Lord of the Rings series. Kind of a throwback series, not one that many people have seen, but just his creepiness, his eeriness with it, and for when the movies were made...
I've never seen Lord of the Rings.
For when the movies were made, specifically being a before the 2000s, early 2000s movie, that character is well ahead of his time with the CGI and the voice acting that they used for him. So I think he was portrayed really well, given the time.
So for my fifth pick, I'm kind of stuck here between three guys. I'm going to go with the one that is probably from my favorite show of all time, and that's Phil Leotardo from The Sopranos. I know Ethan's definitely not familiar, but I don't know. The late scenes of The Sopranos, they're just so dark, and for anybody who's seen the show, or maybe more so for people who haven't seen the show, Phil Leotardo is just kind of the type of guy. The Sopranos is like a mob-related show. He just kills people to kill people, and he doesn't really have any like base or reason in why he does the things that he does. It's pretty much only just for like adrenaline and just for the sake of establishing dominance. So for that sake, Phil Leotardo's got to make my list. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, respectable. I've never seen Sopranos, but I need to check it out. So, my fifth pick, going with another another villain from Spider-Man. I'm gonna give the flowers to Electro. Jamie Foxx's Electro.
The disrespect of Willem Dafoe.
I Green Goblin's on my honorable mentions, but I liked Electro. I think he deserved better. I think he was a great character, specifically because when I was a kid, I for some reason went and saw that movie like 8 times in theaters when I was with my friends. I don't know why, but I don't know. I think Electro deserved a little bit better in the MCU. I know he got some camera time in the latest movie too as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he was one of my favorites.
You want to run through a few of our honorable mentions?
Sure.
I've got here Loki.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Gus from Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Omni-Man. Have you ever seen Invincible?
No, I've not.
Omni-Man's basically the same thing as Homelander.
Oh, okay.
He's like the same type of character. And then obviously Green Goblin.
Green Goblin.
As well.
Okay. Yeah, I mean mine, because some of mine were taken. I had 2 more. I had the Terminator from the OG Terminator movies, and then
I like it.
Obviously Green Goblin. So, all right.
Well, because I'm an idiot and still getting used to this hosting ordeal, I did forget one segment that we were supposed to do after our AFC East preview. And that's going to be another recurring segment that we're starting here on the setup. We're going to go through each position group in the NFL. Maybe not like specifically. We'll probably just do like D linemen as a whole, maybe defensive backs as a whole. But we're going to start here today with what will likely be the most controversial position group, and that is our QB rankings. Do you want to just run through them 1 to 10 each, or do you want to do 10, 10, 9, 9, that type of deal?
Okay, yeah, do that. So we could do 10, 10, 9, 9, 9. Okay, so I'll go first with 10.
All right.
And my number 10, very shocking pick. And I'm doing this not based off of last year, but who I think this year will be in the list. I'm going with my number 10, Chicago Bears quarterback Justin Fields.
Justin Fields.
I think he's proven it with his legs. He's proven that he can,
I just don't.
He had.
A great passer,
he had.
man.
He's not been a great passer. He had no offensive line or really any weapons last year. I know they traded a second-round pick for Claypool, which they probably will end up wasting and won't re-sign him. But I'm going to go with Mr. Chicago Bears, Justin Fields, because I think that division's also kind of up for grabs in a way as well, and we'll obviously get to that.
For sure.
But now,
I totally agree.
But now I think giving him some weapons and giving him some kind of, time and specific receivers that he can get, because I know they now have, who is it from the Panthers? DJ Moore now too. You're correct, and they got rid of David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Fields as 10.
They have Donta Foreman too from the Panthers.
Yes, yes.
I don't know if they signed him or got him in the deal for the number 1 pick.
They signed him.
Yeah. My number 10 guy, I think he's criminally underrated. I called him game manager earlier when we were talking about Mac Jones, but I think he might be a little underrated at this point. I think people are better than what he gets credit for. The Lions were a good team last year. They're young and getting better. Give me Jared Goff, man. I love Jared Goff.
Okay.
I think he elevates the Lions more than guys like Dak or Kirk Cousins do for their teams. And if you look at his statistics last year, I mean, as far as passing yards go, he was on par with Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't throw as many touchdowns, but he also didn't throw nearly as many picks.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's become underrated since leaving the Rams. They obviously have no regret with that deal. I mean, you got a Super Bowl with Matt Stafford. But give me Jared Goff, number 10.
And I like that pick. I like that pick too. I'm a Jared Goff guy as well. I just didn't put him in my top 10. I remember there was that one game where him and Hawkinson had like 50 fantasy points each. It was ridiculous. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to my number 9.
I always forget Hawkinson's on the Vikings now.
Can't wait to cover that division, to be fair.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
My number 9, wishful thinking with this one. I'm going to Deshaun Watson.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to say much. I'm going to sneak him in at number 9 and hope he kind of falls in there throughout this year. So that's my number 9.
No, that's fair. I mean, obviously last time we saw him for a full season, he was still an elite QB. Maybe a little bit of projecting going on, but as a Browns fan, I'll take all the projecting I can get.
Yes, that's true.
Number 9 for me, I talked about him at length earlier. I mean, Tua was an MVP candidate before getting hurt last year. I know people. You know what I never understood with Tua? People will hate on Tua more than a guy like Mac Jones, who has done considerably less throughout his career, has not proven himself to be a good downfield passer. I mean, Tua's making more downfield plays with Waddle and Gesicki last year, obviously, and Tyreek Hill for sure, than maybe any other QB in the NFL. I mean, Patrick Mahomes can do it when he wants, but we saw their offense was more like dink and dime last year. Tua's one of the best downfield passers in the NFL, and they're a different team when he takes the field, and that's not a coincidence. I mean, I think they were an 8-win team in the maybe 10 games that he played last year.
Yeah.
And in games that he didn't play, I think they went 1-6.
Yeah.
I mean, he's better than people give him credit for, and I think people just hate seeing a lefty throw, and that's why he catches so much flack all the time.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right. Going on to my number 8, maybe a bit controversial. I'm going with Aaron Rodgers at number 8.
Guess what?
What?
I also have Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, there we go.
That's just based on what we saw last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's hurt, but
I think it's disrespectful to put him anywhere outside of top 10, though.
Absolutely.
It really is. It really is. Okay, so now we're going to 7.
I'm wondering if we might have some of the same guys here going down the stretch.
Actually, looking at this now, we have the exact same list. And not even seeing. Max sent me a prior list.
No,
not exactly the same.
So me and Ethan, we both have Trevor Lawrence 7.
Yes.
I'm going to start from the beginning. We both got Mahomes 1, Burrow 2, Allen 3, Hurts 4. Trevor Lawrence 7, but we have Herbert and Lamar Jackson flip-flop. I have Lamar Jackson 5. He has Herbert 5. Let's talk about it for a second.
So, for me personally, I think Herbert is better because he's more healthy and availability is very good. If Lamar and Herbert play the same amount of games, I'm taking Lamar. I think Lamar, I know his MVP was a while ago. Lamar is absolutely unreal when he is actually playing. I think he has, I don't know the exact stats on it, but at one point in the league, he had like the most fourth quarter comebacks I think, are the most fourth quarter points scored, his team, in like the entire league. I just think he always is good when it matters. I know he's, a bag of glass, but Lamar, when he is healthy and he's playing, he's a nightmare to play against. So
yeah, I think I think what did it for me deciding between these two is I don't consider Keenan Allen to really be all that great of a weapon at this stage in his career. I mean, I felt like there were times last season where he maybe had trouble making his cuts and running routes on a dime. I think both of the QBs that we're talking about have had very limited weapons throughout their career and not much to work with offensively.
Lamar way less, though.
Lamar way less, but
That's
to
their
my
fault.
point, I feel like Lamar's done more with less.
Yes.
He's won playoff games.
MVP.
He's won an MVP. Obviously, he gets hurt, but, I mean, the guy just got paid, man. I think it's Ravens' comeback season, as much as I hate to say it. I think Lamar's going to be elite this year.
If you think about it, though, because he was Heisman at Louisville, came in, sat behind Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco gets hurt. He plays, the end of the season? Comes back, plays a full season, gets an MVP that season. When he's healthy and he's playing, I don't think Lamar is outside of a top 10 player in football when it comes to quarterback.
No, absolutely. I mean, when he's been on the field, he's only been elite, and that's why I had to put him above Herbert.
And it makes for a nightmare as a Browns fan because we'll get Tyler Huntley when he's injured, and then we'll still end up losing, and it's just it's a whole ordeal.
And then Trevor Lawrence, we both had at 7.
Yeah.
I think Trevor Lawrence could end up in the top 5 by the end of this year, though.
Yeah,
I mean, especially with the weapons they've put around him. Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram had a solid year last year. Obviously, ETN, Doug Peterson, definitely an upgrade from Urban Meyer.
In their division strength definitely helps.
Absolutely.
That's going to be a boring.
I know we're
division to
mentioning
cover,
it briefly, but Trevor Lawrence, he's got all the room to improve and all the right reasons that he could.
They really have something cooking there in Jacksonville. They really do.
And then, sorry to bounce around here, but I mean, Mahomes. We're just going to say Mahomes is number 1. If anybody's got anything to say about that ranking,
Just turn this podcast.
Maybe go to the doctor, get yourself checked, especially from the neck up there.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
And then the reason I go Burrow 2, Allen 3, Hurts 4, I think Burrow's done the most at this stage in his career. Obviously, him and Hurts have both made it to Super Bowls. Allen hasn't. But for me, it's Burrow's beaten Allen on the biggest stage. So I put Burrow ahead of Allen. And I put Allen ahead of Hurts only because I've seen Allen do it for a little bit longer. And that's why I give him that advantage.
That's my reasoning. I just think I needed a little.
That's my logic.
I just needed a little bit more from Hurts as well. But coming off of the Super Bowl appearance and being the quarterback for that, a little bit harder of a schedule. Lost a good amount of players. We'll see how that goes.
I actually think they lost less players than people are making it seem.
Definitely. Well, whatever it may be.
Certainly, there's some losses. C.J. Gardner-Johnson sucks. Javon Hargrave sucks.
Javon Hargrave really sucks. Yeah. But you got a nice rookie, Jalen Carter, and Nolan Smith?
Nolan Smith, but you're forgetting about the big man himself, Jordan Davis.
Oh yeah,
coming into his second.
Three Georgias right there.
They have so many Georgia players.
Oh my god,
it's insane. But that wraps up our QB rankings. Mm-hmm. Tell us what you think. Tell us if you hate our rankings. Tell them if you love them.
Tell us if you think we're idiots. Whatever it may be.
Absolutely, we're open to all criticism and all input. But moving on here, we're going to be doing our last segment of the show. Something good, something bad. I'll let you lead us off.
So I would say something good. I would just say this week I had a really good week this week. Things just kind of moving a little bit slower, but we're about a month out or so from going back to school, a month and a half, which is crazy because it feels like we're just getting ready in the summer. But yeah, I would just say friends, family, everything's going really good this week. This podcast's been great. Something bad, I will say the Guardians lost today because we blew that.
That's fair. My something good, weather dependent. We're gonna knock on wood here. I may be at Camden Yards for an Orioles Twins game this Sunday.
Which is awesome.
Depends on whether or not the rain holds out.
Yeah.
So definitely excited for that. And then something bad. We've been golfing a lot this summer, but I think it's slowed down a little bit. We haven't golfed in over a week here.
It's crazy, actually.
Yeah. Obviously, the weather hasn't been great, but we're definitely trying to get back out on the course sometime soon.
I think collectively, from me and Max, the something bad has been this Canada wildfire fog and the air quality.
Oh, yeah. But here in Cleveland,
Atrocious.
Ohio, it's a little
Atrocious.
a little smoggy out there.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely atrocious.
Yeah. So, that's about all for us today on episode, what are we on? Six
Episode
now.
6.
Episode 6, chugging along here. So we're going to be powering down here for episode 6, the setup. See you guys soon.